Square in a Square workshop. Never use it. This workshop was taught by a lady whose name I'm not remembering, but we made a primer. This is like the 6th, maybe 10th applique workshop I've taken. I'm not very good with applique, despite the number. Marilyn Kalinowski, primer. This is one of Rebecca's quilts, Elaine. This was a sew-a-row. I did not win this quilt. Linda Zemer won this quilt, and she said, Rhonda, I already have a love quilt. Do you want this? It's like, you do not have to ask twice. I finished it, and Rebecca said, I love. So, isn't it sweet? Sew-a-row. I highly recommend getting involved in the Sew-a-row program. It's a lot of fun. And this workshop was, did I put her name on the back? Sherry Wareham, I think, did this. And the project is a table runner. I made mine a little bit bigger, and I use it on the back of my rocking chair instead of a table runner. It was a weaving project, mosaic weaving project, and I weaved it completely wrong and called Mark in to my sewing room to fix it because I couldn't figure it out. Elvis is in the house, another sew-a-row. Carol Lemonnier started this, and originally it was called The Real Estate Market is Crazy, I think, something like that. And she had people in these houses doing stuff, like going potty. And I thought, I don't ever want to see that. So I reinvented it, I made it my own, and I gave it to Lee for Christmas. Lee, raise your hand. Lee loves Elvis. Who doesn't love Elvis? And I got the Elvis fabrics from Jan Andrews. Thank you, Jan Andrews. Oh, yes. No, put that down. That's terrible. That was a workshop. It didn't work out. This was Sylvia Davis's workshop. Janice Rogers, are you here? Did you make this, Janice Rogers? You didn't? Somebody made it in the workshop, and it ended up at the boutique. I didn't. This is one of those workshops where I didn't make the project, so I bought the project. Thank you. This was Sylvia Davis. Sylvia Davis. Her workshop was called Vest or Monster Bag. Again, I did not read the instructions. Oh, this piece of fabric came from Rebecca too, one of her world travels. I thought monster bag meant big bag. I wanted a big bag, but monster bag meant monster because the motif she had designed for it was a star, and the star was a monster to make. I ended up sewing my purse together incorrectly. This right here, this side and this side should be the top and the bottom. But anyway, it is what it is, and I love it. I absolutely love it. This is another one of Rebecca's pieces. This was Sandy Cummings' workshop. It was like double your fun, or make 2 sets of blocks at once. I used some of Rebecca's materials, and one day she came over and she saw it, and she's like, hey, you used some of my materials. So we call it the custody quilt. She got it for 6 months out of the year, and I got it for 6 months out of the year. But recently she received the adoption papers. It is solely hers. Thank you, baby. Okie dokie, woo! Isn't it wonderful? This was inspired by my daughter Tani, who likes spooky, scary stuff. And the workshop that this came from was the Lynn The Lin Man workshop. The pies and the L's are the bats around the edge, and the wedges that are left over from the pies and the L's are the flowers on the outmost edge. It's called Rest in Peace. I asked Tani, but we refer to these guys as the Boneses, Mr. and Mrs. Bones. It was for her 33rd birthday. Happy birthday, baby girl. And it took a second at the fair. Did you all get to see the kitty cat on the bottom? You guys show them the kitty cat on the bottom. The front. Each row of bats, of which there are only 3, took a week. I'm never doing pies or L's again. It took a week. But isn't Mr. Whiskers adorable? All right. The boxers? Yeah. On the back of the quilt? Oh, I just thought that they needed their middle sections covered. Additionally, the fabric was inspiring because it's Della del Morte fabric, and it just kind of goes with the skeleton action. This is also Rebecca's quilt. It's an attic window with perspective from Sandy Turner. I have made approximately 10, maybe 12 of Sandy Turner's attic window with perspective. This goes with Rebecca's laundry theme. Yes. And I require sweat equity, so I'm bossy. I'm like, when it's important to you, I'll know because you'll get involved. And when it's important to you, it'll be important to me. And so Rebecca has, for the most part, participated in many of her quilts. So ladies doing, oh, here are the ratty blocks I was looking for in the beginning. My great-grandmother made these, and she sent them to my Aunt Jeannie in 1972. They have been in her attic all this time. And this past summer, my Aunt Jeannie sent me 6 blocks, these 6 blocks, and she sent my another aunt who quilts the other 6 blocks. The other aunt has already put them into a blanket format, but for me, I'm going to finish each block individually, and I'm going to give one to my cousins who all had the same great-grandmother. So that's on my list of things to do next year. And if anybody has any suggestions about how I might clean these, because they're pretty bad. And it's all handwork. All of it is handwork. So this was Great-Grandma Pebley from Oklahoma. Okay, more attic windows. I have a set of attic windows. Here's an attic window I made for Tani. Okay. And this is without the pictorial. The purple one on the end. You can use any material, primarily pictorial, but any piece really works. So I made that for Tani. This is Rebecca's. She works at Berkeley High School as a counselor therapist, and she doesn't have a window in her room. So she's like, I need a window. I need a window. And I wanted to enlarge the attic window. So I lost my mind and I'll never do it again. It is way too big, way too much work. But it was really easy to enlarge it. It wasn't complicated at all. Yes. Show it, please. This is a work in progress. I was going to have a throwdown with Janice Rogers, who always wins the blue ribbon in the hand quilting department at the fair. This was the apron panel that I was going to make for this year's challenge, but I decided it would make a really nice attic window, to shrink the attic window. So part of my goal in showing all these attic windows is that patterns can be enlarged and patterns can be shrunk. But since I've been working on it and I feel like I'm getting nowhere, I'm not going to challenge the throwdown. I'm going to go back to my sewing machine. Oh, okay, love it. When this work sample was brought out, I squealed. And this isn't the work sample. When the work sample was brought out for the workshop, I squealed. The gal's name is Kathy Hoover, and this was my favorite workshop this year. I've got all 16 blocks are finished with the exception of the embellishment. I just started the first layer of embellishment processes, and I wanted you to see that I am working on it, and I hope to have it finished by the new year for show and tell. This was Vicki David. Vicki David! This was Vicki David's recent workshop in applique, and this was the first time, Vicki, that I felt like I get it. So thank you so very much. I guess psychology says that you need to hear or see something 7 times before you understand it, so thanks for being lucky 7. This goes with that. Oh, that was mini group, the Rose Hips mini group. And after we did Dear Hannah, after we did Dear Jane, we did Dear Hannah, which is also a Civil War era piece. And all the fabrics, with the exception of the red, came to me through the universe. I say that We're All Made of Stardust is the name of that quilt, and it's going to go on my bed. This is Running Rhonda. I love this gal. This was the second workshop I took, I think. No, maybe the third. It was a guy named Ray Houston, and he did some things called Running Man. The people called them Running Man, and they're kind of stick figures or chunky block figures. And I used the samples from the workshop, and I kept them small, and I call her Running Woman. That's what she is, Running Woman. And I feel like I've been running since I met you ladies. So she's kind of my mascot. And then Anne has Julie Hyrota's workshop. This was mosaics. I made a sampler. I think it's pretty fun. It was fusing. I was trying to quilt, and I didn't understand that my feed dogs can go down, and that my presser foot isn't really broken when it gets caught in that little niche in the back. And it was hard. Marie Straight, her workshop, I've got scraps, now what do I do? She said that it takes 24 blocks to make a quilt, a finished piece, and I said, I can do it in 16. So there's my sampler. This took a blue, no, not blue, yellow, whatever the color for third place is, because I didn't put enough quilting in the outer edge. I know. This was the idea that helped me with Rebecca's daughter's wedding quilt piece. This was an autumn sampler of applique from a woman named Kathy, thank you, Kathy Van Bruggen. And P&W, when they put the announcement in the newsletter and on the website, instead of saying there's even a darling little mouse, they had a typo and it says a darling little moose. So my mouse got antlers, and if you wonder what's up with that, it's me poking fun. I took the scissors out, started cutting it up. Cut that baby to pieces. I think we're in a section now called Otherwise Inspired. These came from a magazine picture. Let's see, Lori Platt, Laura, will you turn that around so that the people can see the magazine piece? It's on the bottom, and it's about to fold down. Anyway, I copied out of a magazine is what I did, and my kids are getting these for Christmas. Charlotte is getting one, and Lee's getting one, and Matthew, you can take this home with you today. Janice, will you take that over to my son Matthew, please? His wife asked for a pillow, so she needs a 24-inch pillow insert. And let's see, Tawny and Joe, will you give this to my daughter Tawny, please? And that one goes to Rebecca Ann. And Rebecca's over here in the turquoise shirt. And this red one goes to Charlotte, and Charlotte's right here in red. She loves the red. And Chrissy Boo Boo won't be here till Thanksgiving. Okay. And then the big one is mine. It's the one I'm keeping for myself. And those were recycled wools. Those were wools that came from a thrift store or off the back of the table, and it didn't cost me a dime. And even the magazine came from the auction table, so silent auction table. Oh, this is my girlfriend Diana. I told you that I received all of her sewing supplies. This one, I'm calling it Diana's Dutchman. She had a thing for the Flying Dutchman that she grew up in part on a sailboat. And these little guys came to me in this little section. They were all just little sections like this. And they were very wonky, and I know that's why she didn't finish it. So I unsewed the most wonky ones, sewed them back together. And I wanted to use Linda Wagner's workshop, the log cabin, to put a border on these, but I don't think I'm going to. This was called The Road to Arizona. And I went and spent a little bit of time with my girlfriend and Diana in Arizona, and she said, Rhonda, can you teach me, can we make this during the week that you're with me? I'm like, oh sure, we can do it in a day. Because I had just learned to paper piece through my, with Betty's help and with the help of my mini group. I thought I saw Tina White. Did I see Tina White? Anyway, when I got these blocks back from Diana, they were a mess. And part of the reason they were a mess was because one of the things we did while we were together was we went to Tommy Bahamas and we had lots of coconut martinis. So, and all the blocks were together without the spacer diamonds in there. So I wanted to change it up a little bit. I put them on the diagonal. I used the fabric with the diamond spacers, and I'm calling this one Ashes to Ashes. Oh, show Betty. Betty, look what I did. I know. Betty brought this up last meeting, and her and her mini group made these, and I said out loud in front of God and everybody, can I have that pattern? And so I made it, and that goes to my daughter, Tawny Ann. Okay? And I'm going to make one for me, only the ghostie's going to be ethereal. Kind of transparent. Tawny was my inspiration for this, and that is upside down, my dear. Sorry. she went to the Winchester Mystery House because she likes spooky, scary things. And this was the souvenir that she brought me. It's an actual stained glass in the house. So I made that using Julie Hirota's mosaic techniques. It did not have the spiders. I put the spiders on it. I love it. Mother of Dreams. Yeah, that's a mini. A friend of mine said, "Ooh, I like that. Can I have one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's going to be a mini." Oh, this is really fun too. This is actual glass. Linda Hooper has a glass workshop where she makes things. And I invited myself over one day, and we made some glass. We put it in the kiln, and it was a lot of fun. But getting back to the label, I made a label, or I designed a label, and I sent it to a label maker, and I ordered, I think the minimum order was 1,000. So it said Mother of Dreams, handcrafted goods. Anyway, I have a bazillion of them, and it was a fun period in my life. This one is, thank you. This one is for Christian and his girlfriend or fiance, Shannon, when they come here on Thanksgiving. This is what they're going to go home with. Again, my girlfriend Diana started it. Betty Upchurch quilted it, and I finished it up. And I think he's going to really like it, and I call it Heaven and Earth. Chrissy's 29. He'll be 30 when he gets married. According to Dr. Phil, they have a really good chance of making it.
It wasn't a glass of wine.
I could use a glass of wine now. Let's go with the black and white. Y'all heard about the black and white this year at the fair. This is the one that got kicked out of the fair. Why did it get kicked out of the fair, you might say? Because when you use your smartphone and you take a picture of it and you have the application on your smartphone that reads those barcodes, it had a swear word in it. So I got in trouble. I got a very stern lecture that this is a family fair. What if somebody's 8-year-old had seen that? So I put a heart on it. So you can take as many pictures as you want now, and your smartphone will not read. So this is the infamous quilt that got kicked out of the fair. No, not that. Okay, let's talk about my grandchildren. I want you to meet my grandchildren. I love the sock monkey. Crazy about the sock monkey. Janelle is holding Eva. Laura is holding Lucian. They go together. And if you say Eva and Lucian, you might be inclined to think evolution. That year at the fair, the theme was the land before time, and I thought Eva and Lucian are perfect. They did take blue ribbons at the fair, but the fair did not get the connection. Most of their garments came from the back table. The little sweaters were little blocks that were just sitting back there. Even the shoes were little blocks. Eva's chatelaine came from back there. So anyway, these are Tawny's boo-boos, and if you'll go ahead and give those to Tom Bond. She's right here in the gray sweater. She can take her babies home. Sure. This little doll is Fiona's first sock monkey, and she got some matching pajamas. And Fiona is an actual granddaughter. And these guys took a blue ribbon at the fair. This is Joey Pat Stanley. Pat, raise your hand. Just raise your hand, thank you. Mark has been best friends with Joe since the 5th grade, and Joey travels all over the world as a school teacher. This was his sock monkey when he went to China for 2 years, and I call him China Joe. And then that's my little wild gal, and her name is Breeze, and if you knew my friend Breeze, you would get it. So thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the 30s print. We're almost done. I went over, didn't I? Did I go over?
Doesn't matter.
This is a piece I made when I first joined. I didn't have the design idea in my head yet, so I just kind of put the blocks together the way they came from the manufacturer. I made the little yo-yos. I think the yo-yos are awesome. You see them in a lot of my work. And I put a little poem on the back of it. It said, "Oh, dear Dad, born in 1936, would Granny have made you this?" So that's what that is. Next on deck, don't worry about that, Laura, just set it aside, is this mini Storm at Sea. Betty gave me some blocks, foundation blocks for a miniature Storm at Sea, and I made it, and I realized that a miniature Storm at Sea takes as much time, if not more, than an actual storm at sea. So that's a lot of fun. This is Mama. I want you to meet Mama. I was inspired to make Mama from a quilt that Pam McVeigh made that was in the Moonlighters quilt show. And her name, Pam's owl's name is Barney the Owl, because he's a barn owl. This is Mama. Mama was I'm having a hard time with my words right now. I went through a really sad time, and I was just like crying all the time, and I was depressed, and Mama absorbed all my tears. There's enough DNA on this quilt to make a room full of Rhondas. But anyway, I love her, and I don't remember if she took any ribbons or not, but if you get a chance, check out the quilting along the edges. And this is Tawny's little banner, an owl from the same pattern, and some of Rebecca's fabric. So, Elena, if you can just pass that on to Tonbon. And the last thing we're looking at is the miniature quilts. That was a Melody Crust workshop, minis. That came from Thailand. Joey brought that back from Thailand for me as a souvenir. But it's okay, just put it down. We're talking about eye candy. Melody Crust's eye candy, the little pink one. This was the workshop piece. I finished this piece in the workshop. I love it. The fair was not impressed. And then, go ahead, Laura. The green one, I call that emerald. My birth month is the emerald in May, and I think, wow, that's a pretty special emerald. It's gigantic. It's not real, of course, but the fair was not impressed. The celestial one in the box. This one took a blue ribbon at the fair. It is gorgeous. Cynthia from the fair, are you here today? Cynthia told me with the quilt with the profanity in it, She told me that I was never going to get a blue ribbon because I don't know how to miter my corners. I don't know how to miter my corners. This one got a blue ribbon. Why would that be? Well, it's because all of the corners are buried in jewels. So, yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. And, oh, heaven. Heaven is the one that's on the blue stick. Blue stick. And would you please bring me that one, Elena? This one went to the fair with all of the minis. And this is called Heaven. It's the biblical description of heaven in Revelations. And it took a 4th place. And I'm like, heaven took a 4th. So the thing that is fascinating to me about it is the geology. Heaven sits on 12 foundation stones, and the 12 foundation stones are jasper, sapphire, chalcedony, emerald, sardonyx, ruby, chrysolith, beryl, topaz, chrysoprase, amber, and amethyst. The walls are fashioned from foundation stones. Each gate, of which there are 12, is a single pearl and an angel overhead. The streets are made of transparent gold, and there is no need for the sun or the moon because it is illuminated from within. It is a perfect cube, the biblical description. And I thought, if that is not a UFO, I do not know what is. And finally, those of you who have seen my birds, a couple of birds, and a couple of foo-foo things that I've made. There's a woolly Christmas tree that I copied from a magazine, and there is the Christmas moose, his little house. And I copied that from a piece I got from Jan Andrews. And I just want to say that those of you who have played hooky today to be here are now free to go put food on your families. And thank you very much for having me. My daughter-in-law wanted to make this quilt for her fiance, Matthew. She provided me with the material, the blue background, and the continental materials. And then she abandoned me. She abandoned me to Matthew. And I essentially did not see her anymore, so the project became mine. And I asked my ladies who have been around the world to bring me fabric from their travels. And wherever the fabric came from, I tried to place it on that particular continent or in that particular place. So, and oh my gosh, Diane, your pieces you gave me are here. Yes, they are. And if you can't,
I don't know where.
I'll show you. I'll show you. But anyway, so thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much for. Is there any questions?
Yes, there is.
Hi.
You are so creative. And aside from the influence of quilting in your family history, did you have any mentors in your high school years? Or
Did I have any what?
mentors.
Oh,
Where does your creativity come from?
I don't know.
Before you step down, do we have all your family support up with you?
Oh, sure. All new peeps.
Yeah. Everybody.
Elaine.
Velo came from Southern California. That's my mother-in-law, Carolyn. This is my sister-in-law, Nancy. Tawny's mother-in-law, Charlotte. Rebecca. Rebecca's husband, Lou. You guys know Mark and Lee, my two favorite ex-husbands.
Thank you.